Hi you guys, I'm Ann. I am here today to participate in a collaboration hosted by Homesteaders of America. It's part of the Grow Your Own Food series. It's going on all week long. There's a ton of YouTube channels that are actually participating in this. If you want to know more about seeing who else is here, go over to the Homesteaders of America YouTube channel, look at their playlist, and you'll be able to see who's participating and what they're contributing. What we're going to talk about today is growing food in season. The sun's really bright. Growing food in season, and we don't have much to show you. However, what we can talk about is what are the best foods to grow in season as a sustainable homesteader. I mean, you can grow whatever you want in your garden, but there are specifics in regards to what you really want to have. So before I get started, I'm going to just let you know you're probably going to hear some background noise. My whole entire family is home. Okay, so you might hear some screaming from the children or the dogs barking or something like that. You'll probably also hear my incubators going as well too. I've got 2 incubators running right now, and then my little space heater for my feet might be going off. So I apologize in advance for all of the loud background noise you're about to hear. Really, I am truly sorry for this. Okay, so let's talk about springtime. When you plant something for spring for an early summer harvest before the temperatures start to get way too hot, you want to think about things that can get, that will either get sunburnt, or they will bolt immediately, stopping the growth of an item, okay? For example, great items to plant in the springtime would be leafy greens. We have your kale, your collards, your mustard greens, your chard, for example. Those are excellent items to plant. Peas, snap peas and sugar peas. Artichoke is a perennial. So is asparagus. They will all come up during the springtime. Fall garlic harvest. So you basically plant it in the fall, and now in the earlier parts of summer you will harvest. However, you can plant spring garlic, which will go into the ground the second you are able to work your soil, and then it's harvested in the fall months, okay, late fall months. So before the first fall frost hits is when you will harvest it. So spring garlic plant, late fall harvest, okay? The other thing is your root vegetables. Your root vegetables will continue to grow as long as the temperatures do not drastically get too warm to cause them to bolt. When they bolt, it basically produces a flower and it goes to seed, and that stops the bulb from actually growing. So root vegetables like radishes, carrots, beets are great ones to actually think about. Other things you can plant right now are smaller alliums. Shallots, walking onions are a great example of this. Chives are perfect. And again, here we go, broccoli and cauliflower and everything in that family. If it gets to be too hot, they start to bolt, and then you won't be able to consume them, and they're just a waste. So you want to plant them early for a good late spring, early summer harvest, okay? And salad greens. Salad greens are just something that you should just plant anyways and just go to town with it. I have a blog up on my website, which I will link in the descriptions, in regards to growing salad greens in a gutter garden. You can plant any short root vegetable in a gutter garden, and I talk about that. So I will link that in the descriptions for you. So that's it. That's what you're looking at for that, for a spring planting and an early summer harvest. Now, there are other items, okay, but I picked the ones that we knew could grow and do well in. So that was the spring list for you. Another thing that you're going to actually start in the springtime for a late summer harvest is going to be potatoes. You want to start them after the last frost and when you're able to work your ground. It's really great because here in the Pacific Northwest, we're outside of Seattle, Washington, we can actually plant them around the middle of March for a nice late summer harvest. So get your potato sets going and go ahead and get them in the ground as quickly as possible and allow them to mature. And you will see in this next video clip that's coming up that I was able to harvest because I forgot to dig some up, a whole bunch of potatoes. So we actually have some nice winterized potatoes right now, and I'm excited to sit down and have them. Months you have a little bit of options that you can actually select from. The first is to either direct sow the seed into the ground, or you can still go ahead and pre-start your seeds in spring, either early spring or mid-spring, for a good mature early summer planting. Okay, let's take for example tomatoes and peppers. They do better if you start them in early spring and put them into the ground as a little bit of a mature plant. They're going to hit the ground running and they're going to give you a great yield. It takes a little bit longer for those particular plants to mature, so you want as long of a growing season as possible from them. Items like pole beans, bush beans, cucumbers, melons, for example, if you have a long growing season, you can drop those items and direct sow them into the ground. If you don't, start those seeds in the middle of spring and it's going to still give you a good yield by the end of summer. Other things that you can plant, which you might want to go ahead and start seeds for, would be corn, for example. We have such a short growing season on this side of Washington State that we should pre-start our corn. So we want to seed them, put them into seed mid-spring on that one. Eggplants, we got to start by seed here. Okra by seed here. Potatoes, sweet potatoes, you want to go ahead and drop at the same time you drop in potatoes. Leeks, you can start leeks in late spring. And onions are the same way, late spring, and they're going to give you a beautiful, beautiful end of summer harvest for something like that. And again, there's always the herbs. Your herbs, they should be perennials for majority of them, and you can harvest all the way through the summer for them. At the end of the summer, get them brought back down and dry them out for good winter use. I'm sure I missed stuff. I apologize in advance, but these are the basic, what just about everybody grows in their garden, excluding okra and eggplant. But I like those things, so I added them to the list. Sorry. So a fall garden is something that most people really aren't interested in doing, and you can't blame them because they are exhausted from the spring and summer garden. They're exhausted from preserving the harvest and getting their pantries full, and they're exhausted from putting meat in their freezer. So they tend to skip the fall harvest. But if you really wanted to do a fall harvest, you just have to keep in mind most of the stuff planted, okay, is mirroring your spring garden. And what's nice about it is that the cooler crops at that point actually are sweeter in flavor because of the cooler weather. There are certain things that you do need to plant in the summer months for a fall harvest. For example, like winter squash, your acorn squash, your spaghetti squash, your Hubbard squash. Those items are planted in the summer months for a fall harvest. So those are things that you do need to get going in the summer, but it is a fall harvest. Cabbage, again, you can plant cabbage starting in August, the middle of August, for an October harvest, which will be perfect. Lettuce you can put back in the ground once the temperatures start to cool off a little bit. Your carrots you can actually put back in the ground. Your root vegetables can go in the ground, and on top of that, if you allow them to winterize, they're going to be sweeter. So think about doing root vegetables again for the summer months. Okay, peas are great as well too. So when you're thinking about your fall harvest, don't put way too much energy into it, but really think about the things that might winterize well. Kale will winterize well with a polytunnel over it. Your root vegetables will actually winterize well as too. So if you really want to venture into something like that, and then in the fall months, don't forget you want to plant your garlic in the fall months for a late spring, early summer harvest. Okay, guys, that's it. That is all there is to it. I gave you a very, very quick summary of what you can plant per season. And unfortunately, I could have went hours into something like this. I mean, especially I know some of my gardeners are probably screaming at me going, you forgot to say A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And I can't cover it all. So I gave you the quick rundown of what most gardens actually have. And I hope you can actually pull from that and learn how to go ahead and grow your own food and own that portion of the whole thing. So don't forget, you want to go back to the Homesteaders of America's YouTube channel. You want to look under the playlist for Grow Your Own Foods, and you want to see what other YouTubers are actually viewing at the same time. This will continue for the next week, so make sure you check in every single day to see what has been released and going forward. Okay, so that's it, you guys. That's all I have. And I hope you were able to glean something from this and this whole collaboration. And I'm really thankful for all of those that took time out of their schedules to pull a video, a collaboration like this together to help those who are just starting and venturing into owning their own food source. All right, guys, I'll see you Wednesday for the next episode of my portion of it, which again is canning and preserving. So we'll see you on Wednesday. If you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, please feel free to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And on top of that, hit the notification bell to let you know when new videos are released. I am going to be coming back to YouTube. I say this all the time, but for real I am this time, because I think it's important that you guys have tutorials on how to preserve foods and the things that I actually put up. And on top of that, I love to keep you updated on what's happening on the homestead as well too. So again, subscribe, notification bell, and we'll see you next time, Wednesday this time. Bye, you guys.